A 2020 study published in Communication Monographs found that most people tell on average 2 lies per day. It is so easy for us to lie, but have you considered how easy it is for us to be lied to nowadays? A lot more programmable and impressionable than we may believe. Our lives are based on a certain understanding of what truth is, but what we have accepted as truth is highly biased. There are many different biases, probably the most common one being consensus bias. Accepting something to be true if many others also believe it to be true. However, this is not a rational barometer to check if something is actually factual or not. Another type of bias is anchoring bias, where we tend to accept the first thing we have heard about a particular matter, regardless of where the information has come from. Attentional bias is something that is rife within modern society due to social media, and I am very susceptible to this, which is when we accept something to be true if we are told this frequently enough. If a lie is told enough times, it becomes true. Confirmation bias is a bias where we look for evidence and viewpoints that already align with the way we view the world, further solidifying our worldviews. We have accepted so many things as truth, yet these truths have been accepted from a biased mind. Telling lies loud enough and long enough will result in these ideas to be taken as truth. Having enough people accept this truth forms a culture. Having multiple generations inherit these views forms a tradition. So we often live life by tradition, which is based on culture, which is based on a quote-unquote truth, which is actually sometimes a lie. An example of this is racism that was perpetuated for centuries around the world. The conventional wisdom being that your value as a human being is dependent on the color of your skin. Ancient Indian texts suggest society is upheld by 4 pillars: austerity, mercy, cleanliness, and truth. In this period of time, Kali Yuga, the Dark Age, the only pillar that remains upholding society is truth. This sounds a bit strange given how much we are lied to, how much cheating and dishonesty there is in the world. However, the reason truth is still present is because we have access to scripture. In a world full of lies, the words of saints and divinity still exist in the world. Scripture, or what's called Shastra, establishes something called Tattva, meaning that which stands true in all times, places, and circumstances to access deep spiritual happiness and understanding of the world. One such scripture we have access to is the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna exposes what truth is, and exposes lies that we have accepted and ingrained in our consciousness to help us to gain a clearer vision of life. For those unfamiliar with the setting of the Bhagavad Gita, it is a conversation between 2 personalities, Krishna and Arjun. Arjun is a warrior, one of the best in the world, just about to start battle, and as the battle is about to begin, he has a moment of crisis, a moment of doubt, a moment in which he questions whether he should really be there. Alongside Arjun is Krishna, who is his charioteer, but he has also become his guru, the person who he turns to for advice, for enlightenment, and for inspiration. In the first chapter of the Gita, Arjun is contemplating giving up his role as a warrior and walking away from the battlefield. He sees that ultimately there's going to be incredible suffering, loss of life, and pain. On top of this, many of those who he is fighting against are actually his loved ones. Therefore, he says to Krishna that he wants to walk away from this situation. If we look closely at this chapter, it represents an archetype psychology that many of us accept in our life, which is that problems are bad. It is very much ingrained within us. When we face problems, a lot of the time we try to distance ourselves from them. Escape from reality through Netflix, social media, reading books, traveling, etc. However, Krishna says that the problems and pain are there for a reason. We should try and learn from them and elevate our consciousness from this. Therefore, we have to learn to respond to challenges in a way where we understand that there is something inherent about these situations to help us evolve. So Krishna tells to Arjun to stay put, to face the problem so he can learn and grow from it. Imagine if in our lives we were able to develop a consciousness where every single time there was a problem, our gut reaction was, what can I learn from this? What is divinity trying to tell me through this situation? The issue is, we've been told by the world that problems are bad, but the art of spirituality is to turn problems into progress. In chapter 3, Arjun thought that by trying to win the war to ultimately win the kingdom was a materialistic endeavor. The more noble and spiritual thing to do would be to detach himself from the situation and choose peace. However, Krishna exposes this misconception and says spiritual people don't have to remove themselves from the world and sit in a cave in the Himalayas. Spiritualists are ambitious and want to be active and involved in life, but they do so in a different way to the average person. Every action should be selfless and in a mood of service to bring about goodness in the world. This spiritualizes every activity, even though it may not seem spiritual from an outsider's perspective. In chapter 5, Krishna and Arjun discuss what success means. Especially in the social media age, this is such a big topic. So many celebrities and influencers set standards for what success looks like, and it is always changing. The metrics for success are always numerable, from money to strength to number of followers, etc. However, Krishna completely goes against the conventional meaning of success and says that success is not in the result, but in the endeavor. This is such a profound and empowering philosophical insight into how one can view life. If you are trying to accomplish something and you have done all you can within your power to achieve the best results, this is already success, regardless of the outcome. Our actions have some contribution to our results, but there are so many other divine factors at play which we are not fully in control of. But if we have fulfilled our required duty, that is the definition of success. Einstein famously said that not everything that can be counted counts, and not everything that counts can be counted. A lot of the values that cannot be externally measured, such as compassion, loyalty, and humility, are far more telling measures of success in this human form of life than what the conventional meaning of success includes. To conclude, normally our vision of the world is determined by nature and nurture, or condition and interaction. Yet, in spirituality, we have the power to change our vision by constantly interfacing with spiritual wisdom. Implanting spiritual principles into our consciousness means we can have a lens to see the complexities of life in a more simple and fulfilling manner. Take Arjun for example. Before the Gita was narrated to him by Krishna, he was completely deflated, but after taking in spiritual knowledge, he was completely enthused and empowered by connection to the divine. If you want to change the world and be less susceptible to lies within this information age we live in, we need to elevate our vision with spiritual wisdom to see the true reality. Thanks for watching, please subscribe and take care.